Another European country has canceled their golden visa program, meaning fewer options for you. I'm going to walk you through this latest golden visa closure. I'm Andrew Henderson. This is Nomad Capitalist, where we've helped everyone from multiple billionaires and celebrities to everyday 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors like yourself who want to legally go where you're treated best. And one of the ways you can go where you're treated best is make sure that you have options in terms of places to live, residence permits, and citizenships. And in Europe, a golden visa has been a great way to do that. A number of countries have these golden visas where you invest money in the country. It's been buying real estate, putting money in the bank, buying government bonds, doing any number of different things where it's more of a passive investment. You don't necessarily have to live in the country. Sometimes that can lead to citizenship. Sometimes it just allows you to spend as much time as you want living in Europe. And some of them even have tax incentive programs attached to them. And so this is a great way for people who want to internationalize, open up new options, potentially work to have a great backup passport or a place that they want to live that gives them more freedom and flexibility. And now another one of these programs is dead. Why? Because right now, the European powers that be are using the situation in Ukraine to basically target anyone who wants to go and expand their options as a Russian oligarch. Now, this doesn't mean if you have a golden visa that you're going to be in trouble. I want to make that very clear. But what it means is politicians in the EU are trying to use the fear of letting Russians come in to shut down these programs which they don't like. They want more immigration to their country, but they want more immigration from people who aren't bringing any money. The fact that you can quote unquote buy your way in really bothers the socialists in Europe on the left side of the aisle, and they've been taking full advantage this last month. Here's the latest casualty, and it's Latvia. Now, Latvia never called its golden visa a golden visa. This is a term that the media uses, partially because they're parroting what the politicians want them to say to make you think that he who has the gold has some kind of special access. And exactly, it is countries like Latvia that could benefit from this because they want foreign investors to come to their country. How many people are thinking about Latvia on a day-to-day basis? And yet this is a way to bring people in. In the early 2010s, when this program started and was quite popular, I was in Latvia. They were bringing in a couple thousand investors every single year to their program. Now that number has trickled down to the first half of 2021, only 14 different investor applications that were approved. So basically this program was one of the more successful early golden visas, and it totally fell off a cliff. Now you might understand why they closed this program down, because over the lifespan of the program, the majority of applicants were Russian. Unlike the UK, where only 1 in 6 applicants were Russian, and they shut down the program, citing their concerns of what's happening in Russia even before the war. Latvia has always been a place where Russian investors have gone. And so you can understand, perhaps more than many other countries which are being reactionary, why Latvia, which borders Russia, would want to keep Russians out. But what was initially thought of as we're not going to accept Russian applicants about a week ago quickly became the news coming out of their government saying, hey, we're just going to cut the program down because, hey, we only have 14 people coming anyway, but that means one less option for you. And quite frankly, I thought Latvia's program was underrated. You could buy property in Riga for 250,000 euros, or you could put just a little bit more than that in a bank through a certain structured deposit. There was even a business option that a number of Asian investors were taking advantage of a couple of years ago, where you could spend more but actually put less out of pocket. So there were a couple of different ways that you can contribute to the Latvian economy. This is one of the earlier golden visas I was looking at back in the days when I was starting Nomad Capitalist. I thought it was very interesting. Now, here's where I find this to be upsetting, and here's where I want to push back on this whole narrative going on right now. Because Latvia's golden visa, Latvia's investor residence program, didn't allow you to get citizenship. It was basically a way for you to gain access to be able to live and not only in Latvia, but able to spend time in Europe. So if you didn't have a passport with visa-free access, let's say you had a Turkish passport or a Russian passport or a Bolivian passport or Chinese passport, whatever the case may be, this was an option for you to be able to access Europe without having to get a visa all the time. You could buy a property, rent it out, yields weren't that high, but it's a beautiful city. If you've never been to Riga, it's definitely a beautiful place, albeit a bit cold in the winter. This was an opportunity to come in. For those of us who already have access to travel to Europe, it wasn't really adding a lot other than you get to, number one, have the higher status of being resident. And I do think with all the changes in the world in the last couple of years, you would like to be a resident in countries or blocks of countries where you actually want to spend time. It gives you an elevated status the next time there's a pandemic or the next time there's some kind of crackdown on travel. You're a trusted person. You're going to have access to go there. And so even if you just want to go to Europe for a couple months every year and your passport allows that, I think having a residence permit isn't the worst thing to do. It also allows you access, for example, to open bank accounts locally, in some cases buy property locally. And so you're getting more access to create more diversification and you're raising your status. But Latvian residents never led to citizenship unless you spent about 9 months out of the year in the country for 10 years. So most people weren't going to make that lifestyle adjustment, let alone the fact that while Latvia's taxes aren't sky high, they're not zero either. And so it would have required you to pay some taxes in Latvia. And so this was never an opportunity for people to buy Latvian citizenship. And in turn, Latvian citizens are European Union citizens. They can, once citizens, move throughout the bloc. This was never even an opportunity to get permanent residence in Latvia. This was basically an opportunity for you to make an investment, make a few bucks, diversify, get access to a new part of the world's financial system on easier terms, as Latvian banks have become much more difficult to work with in the last 5 or 6 years for non-residents. And in the process, be able to elevate your status while visiting Europe. And so the European Union is being very clear. They don't like these programs. Again, if you look at what's happening, for example, in the presidential election in France, you are seeing a lot of the candidates saying, we don't want high-level immigration, we want more low-level immigration. We don't want investors, we don't want people being skills, we don't want people starting businesses. Latvia was one of the countries that said, wait a second, we want people with skills, we want businesses, we want people to pay taxes. One of their earlier investor residence options was pay a certain amount of tax every year by running your business here. Hey, we want to bring money into our coffers because we realize, unlike much bigger countries, that we are actually competing. But the European Union is now going around and bullying smaller countries like Latvia to close down its program. Now, again, in this case, 14 people, because the program just was not well marketed in recent years. That's not a huge thing to give up. Certainly, I think that once current events blow over, countries like Latvia should revisit ways to perhaps involve at least active entrepreneurs to come in, perhaps put a tax incentive program combined with a residence program, something along the lines of what Estonia has. But I think that we need to set the record straight. Some of the programs that are being shut down, some of the programs that are being pilloried in the media and by politicians were never what they called them out to be. You need to continue to go where you're treated best. You need to continue to establish options. And if you want to be in Europe, those options may continue to shrink in the coming months, which is why being in and being grandfathered in, whether it's a residence or a citizenship, they can often continue. They're not going to necessarily come and cancel you, but they may cancel the program. You want to create those options now so that as politicians attack your ability to create Plan B and Plan C, you'll already be set up. The Western world has spent the last month embarking on a very concerning crusade of shutting out wealthy people, shutting out people's ability to create options. And what does that say? To me, it says that they're very afraid of your having options. They don't want you to be able to hold residence or citizenship in other countries. They want you to do it only on their terms. They want you to make sure that you're still paying high taxes. They want to make sure that you play by their rules. To me, this is all the more reason why the remaining programs in Europe you should be looking at very seriously if that's something that you want, because I believe you'll continue to see more restrictions, more complications, and more issues imposed on new programs that may survive, but may become a bit more difficult and a bit less flexible. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.